I'm Billy Hallowell, and this is Dalton Harper, and this is the Bible Bros, which honestly, Dalton, you and I talked about doing this for a while, and now we're here, we're doing it. This is episode 1 of this show, and it's a show, obviously, for guys, right? It's a Christian show for guys, and you know, we've talked a lot about it. Like, we want to talk about the Bible, we want to talk about theology, we want to have really cool people on. What is your goal for this show? This is the intro. Like, what would you say the goal is?
Just wherever God wants to take it. If he wants to keep it small, if he wants to grow it largely, I'm open for everything. So
I love that.
I guess that's
your shtick. That's your
yeah.
That's your. I mean, that's the thing is, there are a lot of shows out there right now, a lot of shows, and you and I have probably a million conversations a week about life, right? About what does it mean? Actually, like, let's tell this story. So you and I were in Franklin, Tennessee. We were walking down the road. We're going to an event, and these guys stopped us, these young guys, and they were raising money for their ministry, right? And do you remember what they said to us? That one of the questions they asked us when we were talking to
them? Well, they were just telling us about their ministry and kind of what they were doing, and that they were fundraising on their own. Can't remember for what exactly, but you know, after we did donate a little bit, I think it was after we donated a little bit, they, you know, I thought that was going to be the end. I think you did too. You thought they were going to say thank you and move on, but
and that was it. We gave them money for their ministry. We
gave them money, and we thought that's kind of how it was going to go. And then he dove deeper and asked us what it means. And they were like early 20s. I don't know. You talked to them a little more than me, but he asked us what it means to be a man.
When he asked you that, what were you thinking? Because I can tell you what I was thinking. I was like, I had an answer right away, though. Did I not? I mean, I was ready with an answer, but my first thought was, oh my gosh, what am I going to say to this? Like, what does it mean to be a man?
Yeah, I think I answered first. I think, I can't remember, but pretty much I didn't really have an answer like at my disposal, like the correct answer. I don't. But what I went back to was, and I can't pull this right out of scripture. I can't remember where it's at, but ultimately, what I know to be a man is obviously do what Jesus did, because he was the man's man. He was a man's man. But ultimately, I told him, over all things, leader and a provider.
Yeah.
I know there's more to it, but I think those were the two answers I gave him. Just providing for, you know, if you have a family, provide for them, and then lead them in a Christ-like way.
Yeah.
Lead them to Christ, and show yourself. This is coming to me now more than it did at the time, because it kind of hit me, like, took me off guard. But just leading them in a Christ-like way and showing them like a Christ-like attitude, like just being gentle, kind, patient, but still tough.
Yeah.
Don't be a pushover to be a pushover. Like, don't let your kids or whoever you have just run your life. You got to stand your ground, but do it with all the attributes of Christ. And so,
no, I mean, I loved what you said to them, though, in that moment. And what I said to them was, and I don't remember exactly, I know I talked about listening. I was like, because this is around the time, and you know, we'll talk about this a lot, where I started doing these morning prayer walks and like really trying to listen to God and like hear his voice. And I said, you know, being a man meant trying to hear God's voice and lean into his wisdom, right? Like, which everything you just said, plus the idea that, you know, we should be, I mean, look, you're 27, I'm 42, you know, we're in different phases of life. And yet, you know, this question of, you know, what does it mean to be a man? I think a lot of people struggle with it, whether they're 50, whether they're 70, some people never learn how to be a man. So to me, it's like, it's listening and trying to live out, and this is just part of it, what God's wisdom is for our lives. I don't know if you want to respond to that at all, but that's,
No, man, I'd say it's right on par.
You know, so for this show, for the Bible Bros, like, our goal, I think, is just for you and I to continue the conversations we've been having. We've been having for months these amazing conversations about theology and faith, and we do Bible studies every week. And one day we were just like, why don't we extend these Bible studies and these conversations out to other people, right? Because
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
doing it, so like we should share that. And we're going to be bringing on guests to this show. We're going to be bringing on some amazing people who can speak to men, like all these other shows that are great, right? Girls Gone Bible, you know, all these shows. There are a lot of shows for women. There are not a lot of shows for men that are doing what we're trying to do here. And we're still figuring out what we're trying to do here, which I think is going to be the fun part as we go. But I think we have a chance to do something really cool. And I don't know, before I go to the next part, do you want to say anything else about the show before I go into Ephesians?
Yeah, I mean, it is a guys, obviously Bible bros, but we spoke about that. It's not exclusively
Yes. Yeah.
guys. Like, we love women, in a good way. There's some amazing women that I mean, could teach us a thing or two. So
100%. 100%. Maybe
yeah,
we'll
I'm
bring
not
some of them
holding out
on too.
Yeah, not holding them out at all. But
My wife teaches me a
like
thing or two all the time. So,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, it's good for you. But yeah, it's I mean, there's some out there that I really look up to, and like one of our pastors. I mean, we've talked about her a million times. Uh, I could sit in a room with her and just have her teach me for forever, and I mean, she's taught a lot. I mean, she's kind of shaped over the last 3 years, shaped me more into a Christ-like man than I had my whole childhood of growing up in the church I grew up in. So it's not
I love that.
exclusively guys, but I would say primarily guys, just because bro talk is something else. It's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
bro talk is something else. Especially a lot of guys don't like to open up, uh, and I feel like once you can get them in a spiritual environment, it's easier. It definitely has been for me. It's opened me up a lot, but yeah.
Well, and what were we saying? Okay, the other day we were having a private conversation, but I guess I'll make it public. We were just talking about how a lot of times men are brought up to not be emotional at all, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't
Especially down
cry.
here.
Yeah, especially so if you can't tell, Dalton is from the South and from Tennessee. I am not. But even where I grew up in upstate New York, which is I live now near New York City, it was different. I felt like there was this expectation that you're going to be a man, and a man is somebody who doesn't cry, who doesn't get emotional, who doesn't do any of those things. And so people end up hiding things, not talking about things, which I think is actually not how we're supposed to be. Not that we need to be weeping every single minute, but like I think being a human being means having emotion, being
Yeah.
feelings, right? Like sharing them.
Well,
And
so
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, sorry to interrupt, but yeah,
No,
it's
do
like
it.
growing up in kind of like the smaller denominational churches like I grew up in, you know, these old timers these old men that are you're around growing up, and they're like you said, like, men don't cry, men don't do this, men don't do that. And it's like, well, dang, have you even been going to church? Have you even been reading the Bible? Like, I mean, what do you think Jesus was? I mean, he displays so many emotions, and he cries. Like, yeah,
Lazarus. Remember like when
yeah,
Lazarus
yeah,
died?
Jesus, the shortest verse in the Bible, Jesus wept.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what? I mean, I just don't. That blows my mind right there. Like, I've never been one to um stray away from showing emotions. I never even had that really put on my life. Like, no one ever s- tried to like tell me I can't, but I definitely saw it. Like, it's just a thing around here. And
I felt
I
it,
guess
even if
actually, I
nobody
think I've
said it.
actually heard it. I think I've actually heard this more growing up in football.
Mm,
It, like, you hear that a lot in football. Like, when you're a
yeah.
kid playing football, if you get hurt, you don't cry. They tell you you're not a man. You're not a yeah. So,
I
but
just felt it. I felt like I shouldn't do it because it's not what men do. You know, it's not. And I guess, like, to your point, Jesus wept, right? Like, I think that this is the kind of stuff we're going to talk about. And I guess for me, being super honest, super vulnerable, super truthful, right? And having difficult conversations sometimes, that's something I think we need to do on this show. Like, I think we need to do it,
yeah,
bring other people in to do it. You know, you
yeah,
call
and
me
like
out if you
deep
need to,
stuff.
which you do like to
Yeah,
call
deep
me
stuff.
out. So
I do. I love it.
anyway, deep stuff. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, just deep stuff that like, and that's one thing I really appreciative of my church about. Those pastors aren't afraid to dig into the stuff that the traditional churches would be like, oh no, you don't supposed to talk about that. They will 100% talk about it and convict you and rebuke it, which I like rebuke the bad things of it, which I'm all for.
I love that. I mean, and honestly, full disclosure, you're one of my best friends now. We became friends last year. We, and friends call each other out. Friends, help each other through things. And I think that's something that is important for men too, to be able to have
Yeah.
real conversations. And yeah, I think a lot of people want to talk about some of the stuff you just mentioned, even that your church, is willing to confront, but maybe other churches you went to weren't. I know. I mean, we're going to talk about everything. And actually, let me. I got my Bible here because it's the Bible Bros, right? Gotta have our Bibles. I want to read. I just want to pull up this section of Ephesians 6 because if somebody, obviously, those guys asked us, what does it mean to be a man? And we answered that question. If somebody were to ask me, what do we want to accomplish on this show? We just talked about a lot of that, but I think there's a section of scripture here in Ephesians 6 that really boils down so much of what is important. So I'm going to start reading it and then we can I'll stop and we'll break it down. But, Ephesians 6:10, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might, put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. So let me just stop there. I mean, this idea of putting on the armor, like we're in a war, literally, right?
Mhm.
And as men and women and, everybody out there, we're dealing with this stuff and we think it's like purely material and physical. And yet it's telling us there's something else going on that's affecting, not that we don't make bad decisions and we don't, use our free will for the wrong thing. But the point is, there's a spiritual battle and the devil is out there trying to get people and we can fall prey to it if we're not careful. And so I just wanted to,
Yeah.
I'll throw it to you on that, but that's important to realize.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's not coincidental as people think. Um, Especially, I mean, if you're not really close to God and spiritual, quote unquote, you don't ever see it that way. And honestly, I kind of feel like if you're not in that close or getting closer to God in general, I feel like it's kind of obvious though, like you get less attacked anyway. And it
Right.
feels because you're not already there with God, so the devil feels like he doesn't really have to work on you much
What's the point?
at all.
Yeah.
But then, when something happens, God still gets blamed. Um, but yeah, like it's such a yeah, it's such an important thing. And I kind of honestly, I'm gonna be vulnerable. I ain't gonna lie. I forget this verse and neglect this whole passage of verses right here. Um, but I'm glad it's kind of the staple, like you said earlier. I think before we started, it's kind of the staple of this podcast, and it'll be a good reminder
We should
every
just
time
keep
we hop
coming back
on.
to it. I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure.
the other thing, not to interrupt you, but I want to the other thing here, the whole thing about flesh and blood, like you're not wrestling against flesh and blood. Like our whole society, our whole culture, our whole world is Republicans versus Democrats, this person versus that person. Like, not that those battles don't matter. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we're so consumed by fighting with other people that we literally do not realize that the bigger battle is what it's describing there. Like,
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
more than what meets the eye. Like it's not just this person against like this person literally just against this person. There's a motive behind this side
mhm.
and the other, and it's yeah, and like you can't really blame the people that don't know God or Scripture to even think of it that way. But I mean,
Yeah,
that's really how it is when you look at it.
100%.
Division is Satan's. It seems like his favorite tool. So here recently,
Yeah, especially in the church, like as Christians and as men, if you're going to be leading, we need to be aware of that, and like we need to keep coming back to these scriptures because the next one, verse 13, therefore take up the whole armor of God that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. And, basically you got to take up the armor. Like, this language of war, I think, is really fascinating, because, like, how are you going to win a war or a battle that you don't even know you're in? Like, think about that. Like, the people who do not know they're in it, and they're blaming everybody and everything. And yet they don't, like, there's no picking up any armor, because you don't even think you're in a war. And I think we need to wake up and realize that we all are. And to your point, the devil's going to go after Christians because, believers are the ones who are trying to live right. And we've all experienced it. We've all felt it. So I think that's our rally cry, like, on this podcast. And a lot of what we do is going to kind of come back to that. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I love it, and I'm pumped. And actually, I'm excited that we're doing this. I think this is going to be, I know this is going to be a great show. And I want to hear from people, like, who do they want to see us have on, like, interesting people. I mean, who's your dream guest, Dalton? And don't say Chris Pratt right now.
Oh man. Yeah. He's definitely the one, but it's man, that's a long shot. But just people with a lot of wisdom that's been around a while, like my favorite, Kent Hovind.
Ken Hovind. You want to have Ken Hovind on? We're working
I
on
want to
that.
have Kent, definitely Lee Strobel. I know he's a good friend of yours, and
I just texted Lee an hour and a half ago. I just texted him an hour and a half ago.
I like a lot of his, and even people like, I've said, I'm just throw this out there. I'm a military freak. I'm not military at all.
I've nenever known this about you.
People
This
that know
is the first
me
time hearing it.
That's my go-to movie. Like, it's my stuff. I love old war stuff. But people like that, like that were in a lot of combat, seen a lot of crazy things, seen the evil side of,
humanity,
of a lot of different things. But people maybe like Sean Ryan, people maybe just like he's got a platform, and not just people with a platform, but people just in that space that have seen way more than me and you could have. Like, you have your group of people that you'd want to see, you'd want on here. I have mine is from people that have been in extremely, extremely dark, physical, like near death places where they really have to, even if they're atheists, they pray, that type of thing. I've heard that used several times.
It's funny. You and I have it's like a Venn diagram. There's a bunch of people that you and I would both want. And then there's a bunch of people based on our interests that are going to be, like, outside of that. It's going to make this really, really interesting as we go. And we're going to do, like, we're going to pull open the Bible, read the Bible. We're going to bring people on. Every show is going to look a little bit different, but it's going to be a blast. And I'm excited that we're doing this. Any final words before we end our first intro episode here, Dalton?
No. Other than, I mean, I think also who would be interesting, or, like, a lot of people know that my dream is debating right now to be an actor. And like I said, Chris Pratt is obviously my one, but people that are Christians in the industry, and not just in the Christian film industry, but people that are Christians outside of that and more in the secular film industry, and how they really kind of intermingle the two things.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of a fight with me right now.
I think, well, and by the way, if you're watching or listening to this, pray for Dalton on this, and we're going to ask for pray for me having to deal with Dalton, pray for Dalton having to deal with me, but pray for Dalton on acting and this mission and this calling that he's had, because, it's confusing trying to figure this stuff out sometimes. But I love that idea. We will definitely bring on people to talk from the industry. And I love what you said too, not just those who are in the Christian side, but those who, are Christians who have worked on the secular side too. So we're going to do that. We're going to have these people on. We're going to address these issues. We're going to hit on the tough things, and we're going to be vulnerable. Like, we're going to share as much as we're comfortable sharing about things in our own lives. I just think people need to do that. People need to be real at the end of the day. Yeah. And because we deal with real things, and I'm tired of pretending we don't all deal with real things when we do. So I'm pumped for this, and we're going to be back. I mean, I don't know. We're probably going to do an episode every other week to start. But maybe we'll do one next week, like a full one next week, since it's kind of our first.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have an interview next week. I don't know. What do you think, Dalton?
No,
Should we?
I'm here for it. Just
I'm here for it too.
help me get prepared. I'm not an interviewer.
You will be by the time this is over. You will be an interviewer.
I know I'll have questions, but I don't know how to pre-plan them.
It's okay. You don't even need to. Don't pre-plan. Just wing it like I do. That's all you got to do. All right. Well, we will be back next week with another episode of the Bible Bros. We're super excited, and thank you for listening.